So as I was saying, in simple past tense, we talk about actions that happened in the past at a particular time, means a specific time. Let's say yesterday, last night. These are the time expressions that tell you about past time. So at a past given time, an action is complete. So we will talk about those actions in simple tense. Let's find out more about this. I hope you have my screen and it's visible to you. You can see here first, when something happened is important. Remember, so we use simple past tense when something happened is important. So whatever it is that happened and you think that was important, you talk about it in simple past tense. I saw the Eiffel Tower. What time? In 2007. So in 2007 is the time expression, which is not current time, it's a past time, right? Today we are in 2020, so it's about 13 years ago. We talk about an action that happened in the past, it is important, and we talk about it in simple past tense. How we write simple past tense is you write the subject first, and after that you write the verb, usually with ed. I will talk about this in detail later, but usually we write the second form of the verb, which is mostly in ed, but some of the verbs are not in ed. That's because some verbs are irregular verbs and some verbs are regular verbs. So we'll talk about those verb forms. Next, for finished time or periods. So we use simple past tense for some time which is already finished or for a period of time. Period is actually, we are able to count in seconds, in minutes, in hours, in days or months. So you notice this is actually a good length of time. We call it a period because it's a countable time and it's more than just one time. It's not just one time, it's a plural time. I'm going to talk about that later as we. The example is I ate 15 pizzas. What time? Look at this. Last week. Last week is the week before this one. So this is at the finished time. Okay, so we are talking about a finished time, a time which is already gone. Last means previous, last means gone. This previous week we are talking about. We also talk about our past in simple past tense. For example, I was born in England and grew up in Germany. I played the piano, look here, for 10 years. This is the period. Period is a long time, a longer version of time, a length of time. It's usually a duration, and usually we always count it in hours, seconds, days, months, years. Okay, so you can see here for 10 years. It's actually more than one time, which is a length, which is in duration. But I hated it. So if you notice, was, grew, and then played and hated, everything is written in past. That's because we are talking about our past. So when we talk about our past, we use the second form of the verb and we write in simple past. We talk about finished time or period of time. We speak about an action that is important and happened in the past in simple past tense. Have any question regarding this slide, please ask me in the box. Otherwise, I will. Now, here is a very short definition or a very short explanation of when we use it. Notice here, we use simple past tense for action that happened in the past. Very simple. Okay? We talk about an action which is over, we talk about an action which is done, we talk about an action which is finished, and all these happened in the past. Alright, next slide. If you have any questions, please keep the questions. You can ask me in the chat box and I will always answer them. Now, here you can see how we write simple past. Generally, in affirmative, that means a positive sentence. See, affirmative. We write in negative, and we also ask questions. So you can see all the types are here. Number one, I jumped. So you notice I told you that most of the time the verbs will be in second form and they will have ed at the end. That means we have written this is past tense, but some verbs will not have ed. You ate. So here you see ate doesn't have ed. This is your irregular verb and this is your regular verb. So some of the verbs are regular and all the regular verbs will have ed at the end. All the irregular verbs will change their own spelling. No, they will change from inside. Eat became ate. Alright, this is how it went. Look at this next one. He cooked, she wrote, it ran, we shouted, you read, they opened. This one I think is wrong. It should be ran, because ran is the what do you call second form. So I jumped, you ate, he cooked, she wrote, it ran, we shouted, you read, they opened. I want you to write in the chat box the irregular verbs that you have seen here. Can you please write the irregular verbs in the chat box for me? Which ones are the irregular verbs? From here. Yes, can I have more responses, please? Hiba and Marwa, you were right. Okay, Bushra says right. Hiba also says run. Run is obviously and right. Okay. Can I have more responses? However, read. What do you think about read? Yes, Hiba, read. Yes, because read does not have ed, and that's an irregular verb. However, if you write in the second form or the first form, read will remain with the same spelling, but the pronunciation will change. In present simple, read, past simple, read, and obviously past perfect or present perfect, again, read. Okay? Talk about past perfect and present perfect later. For now, past simple. Very good answers. Hajar, good answer. Thank you. So now I hope you understood how we write the positive sentences. Always remember, first the subject, then comes your verb with ed. Right? Not always with ed though. That's because some verbs will not be regular. Only the regular verbs will have ed. All the other verbs will have the second form. All the other verbs will be the second form. So you need to study the forms of the verb. For example, do, did, eat, ate, go, went. Alright? All these verb forms you have to read and learn. Let's talk about negative. If you see the negative, we need the helping verb just like in present simple. I hope you can relate to present simple learning. from the other day. In present simple, we needed do, remember? Or we needed does. And does was for the singular subjects, the third person singular, and do was for I, we, they, and you. Remember? Now that was for present simple, but in past simple, we use did. Okay? We use did, and did is used for all the subjects. Doesn't matter whether you are writing with the first person singular, second person singular or plural, third person singular or plural, doesn't matter. You use did all the way. And to make it negative, you write negative not after did. So it becomes didn't. If you write it short, you can also write it in full form. It's up to you how you want to write it. Did, but you have to have a space in between. So did not, didn't or did not. And here you have the examples. Look, I didn't jump. Notice here we don't have ed. That's because we have already written in simple past tense because we use the word did. Did is for simple past tense. Because the first verb is already in simple past tense, the second form of verb after that does not need ed, okay? Just write it in first form. So I didn't jump, you didn't eat. Look at this verb. Here we had ate, and here we have eat. So ate is second form of the verb, it's the past tense. But in negative, we are using helping verb did, and that's why we don't use the second form of the verb after that. Okay? So for negative, and I will talk about question also later on, but for negative, please remember we need didn't, and after that, first form of the verb. Okay? First form of the verb. That is what is important. Didn't, first form of the verb. I didn't jump, you didn't eat, he didn't cook, she didn't write, it didn't run, we didn't shout, you didn't read, they didn't open. Is this clear to everybody? Please write yes. If no, please let me know, because then I can explain. Okay? Arwa, very good. Zainab, Aisha, very good. Yes, yes. Good to know that you are listening and you are able to understand what I'm saying, which is good. Now let's move on. Thank you, Bushra. Thank you, Hajil. Alright, now let's look at the question. Now, if you notice in negative, we used did, right? And in question, we also use, right? Just like in present simple, we use do and does, and then did, doesn't, and don't. We are using in simple past the helping verb did for making negative and for making questions. So what happens is you write the word did before the subject, right? So you write it like this, did, and then you write the subject, and then if you have the verb, of course you have a verb, after that you write question mark. This verb is always, you remember, will be the first form. It will not be the second form. It will not be the past form, okay? It will always be the second form. Why? Because we have did in the front. It's already in past tense. Did I jump? Did you eat? Did he cook? Did she write? And so on. So you notice jump, jump, eat, eat, cook, cook. Why? Because did is used. You see, in negative we have did, and in the question we have did. So that's why the verb after the subject will always be present form. Did I make this clear enough to you? Please write yes or no for me. Thank you. Good. Okay, that's very good. Thank you very much. It's good to know that you have understood. Now, this is what you need to remember as well. Thank you, Hajar, Abir, and Zainab, Marwa, and Hiba. Thank you for saying that. Now, let's look at this part. This is the time expressions. And we have, whenever you see the words like last week, last month, last year, last hour, last Sunday, last January, whenever you see the word last and after that you have a name of a time, for example, day, month, week, or year, you should use simple past tense. Okay? Yesterday, use simple past tense. The day before, you see the word before, please use past simple. And if you look at these words, let's say an hour or minute, a month, and then you see the word ago, this is the only time expression that is written at the end of the sentence. These time expressions we can write in the middle or even in the beginning, but this ago will always be written at the end of a sentence. So I jumped an hour ago, I jumped a minute ago, I jumped 2 months ago, something like this. Okay, yesterday, I jumped yesterday. Last, you ate last month, you ate last hour, you ate last year, something like this. The time words will come at the end, and ago will always come at the end, and before ago you have the time word. Okay, but last, after the last, you have the time word. I will write it here one more time so that you can understand. Last, we have time word after this. Ago, we'll have time word before this. Okay, so month ago, last month. Hour ago, last hour. So this is how it works. Is this clear enough? Please let me know. You have to keep telling me if you have understood or not, because then I can assure myself that I'm in the right. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Here we are. This is the important part, because if you don't learn the verb forms, I'm afraid you will have problem in writing in past simple or in present continuous. In fact, you will have problem in writing in any tense. That's why you should learn the verb types and how the verbs are formed. Now look here, why we have D ending word or why we have ED ending word. So these are actually formed. Regular verbs are actually formed, but irregular verbs cannot be formed. They are already made. You learn the irregular verbs, but you make the regular verbs. Okay? And there are some rules to follow when you make the regular verbs. So here are the rules. Number one, if you see a word that has E at the end, then you add just D. So you see live, you have E at the end. Okay? Stare, you have E at the end. So what you do, you make it fast with the help of D. Live, lived. Stare, stared. So you added just D and it became a past form of the verb. Okay? That's because the word has E at the end. You see E at the end. So ending words will take D. Now look at the next one. Any word that has a vowel and after vowel you have Y. Remember, it's a vowel, not consonant. A word ending in vowel plus Y, what you do, you add ED. So look at this one. Stay, we have a vowel and then Y. They, we have vowel and Y. So what we did, we added ED. That's all. So stay becomes stayed, lay becomes laid. Why? Because the words are ending in a vowel with Y. Okay. Number 3. The words which end in a consonant and after that you have Y. This was vowel. This one is about consonant. If you have a word that has a consonant and after that you have a Y, then what you do, you remove Y and add I. After that you add ed. So if you notice here, try, carry, R is a consonant and after consonant you have Y. Just like that, you have R which is a consonant and you have Y. What we did is we removed Y and we added I. After that we added, this became try, carry became carry, right? That's because consonant plus Y. Okay. Next, if you have a word with one syllable, this is important. One syllable. Syllable means sound. You know, when you pronounce a word, what happens is you are actually making a sound of that word. If you have one syllable, means a word that gives you only one sound and there is only one vowel in the word. Now remember, one syllable means one vowel. Okay? The vowels actually give you the sound. Right? The vowels actually give you the sound. So one vowel means one sound. Two vowel means two sound. So, but if the two vowels are written together, then they give you just one sound. But if they are put after a consonant, they give you two sounds. I'll show you the examples after some time. But right now, look here. If you have one syllable word, that means if you have one word that gives you only one sound, what you do is, if you see there is only one vowel, the consonant that is written at the end, you double it. You write it again. And after that, you add ed. So look here, not, rip. You have a vowel. And what you do to make it past form, you add one more D because D is the last letter, and after that you add ed. It becomes nodded. Nod, nodded. Rip, look, rip. You have vowel here. This is also one sound. Rip, nod, one sound. And in one sound you have single vowel. One vowel. Look, I and O. So what happens to the last letter? You write it again and then add ed. Becomes ripped. Rip, ripped. How you make the fast form of one syllable. Now next one, please look this one. This is also about syllable. Two syllable, that means you have two sounds in a sentence. And how do you know you have two sounds in a sentence? Look for the vowel. Look. You have ka, me. So you have two sounds here. Always remember the vowels give you the sound, not the consonants. Comment. So you have ka and me, it. So two sounds are here. What do? You repeat the last letter and add ed, just like we did here. Okay? So if you have two sounded words, a word that gives you two sounds, or you have two syllables, what you do is you repeat the last letter and add ed. So prefer becomes preferred. You see, R is repeated and ed is added. Now, please let me know if you have understood this part. Can you tell me if you have understood this part? How to form the past form of the regular verbs? Yes or no? Okay, Aisha, Hiba, Raya, Rayham, Hajar. Okay, very good. Noha as well. Thank you very much. This is good. Zainab as well. Thank you. So, I will repeat myself one more time. A word ending in E, add just D. A word ending with a vowel in Y, add ed at the end. A word that ends with a consonant and y, remove y, add ed, I-E. Okay? If you have one syllable and there is a vowel, repeat the last letter, add ed. If you have two syllables, then what you do, repeat the last letter and ed. That's all. All the best. This is your past form of the verb, how we make past form.